Okay, I gotta get them. I gotta get the record up here because it's not like I have them all committed to memory. So what color is everything? Oh, from the other side, kind of getting like orange. Heartbreak is kind of purpley. Only like a grudge isn't really jumping out. Every so often I get ones that don't have a color that I don't get the thing from. Fake out. Green. Heaven, Iowa was red. Very much red. So good right now. Red. Pink seashell. That one's weird because I wrote and that piece went through a bunch of colors, and then when we added the Ethan Hawke quote over it, it changed, so I don't know anymore. I am my own muse. It's red. Flu game was kind of yellow. That was yellow. Kintsugi Kid. Black for some reason, like actually black, like I actually feel black in that one. What a Time to Be Alive, blue, very blue, but kind of a fun blue, kind of like a vibrant blue. Stardust, red. I notice sometimes too, I have the sound one a little bit, but I have a really pronounced grapheme synesthesia, whatever. And I notice that a lot of S's are red for some reason. I don't know where that comes from. Yeah, and we didn't start the fire. It's not really on the record, so. It's hard, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you'll ever be over it. I don't mean that in a discouraging way. I'm saying I don't know that I'm over it. But you have moments of lucidity. I think that's one of the things about mental health is that, you know, you have the things you have. But then there are times where you can kind of step outside of it and be like, this probably isn't reality. This is probably my inner monologue. I haven't had a lot of luck with self-help and stuff like that. It's always benefited me to, you know, see a doctor. My ADHD really responded to medication, but it took years and years of trying different medications. I'm so discouraging. Eventually I landed at this thing. And the funny thing is too, you know, everybody's different. I do think, yeah, really trying to find someone who's qualified to tell you what it actually is, you know, because that was one of the things is I didn't even know I had, you know, I tie those all together. The imposter syndrome, I think, is, you know, it's part of it. ADHD, you don't get to control what you think about. A lot of times I'm thinking about how, you know, bad I am at stuff and how everyone's going to figure out that I don't know what I'm doing and whatever. Your brain just decides that that's what you're going to focus on. So it's really important to have somebody who really knows what they're talking about. It's so easy to, like, you know, read stuff that I might not even be qualified to read and then be like, oh no, that's what I have. And you're like, no, you know, if it's available to you in any way, try and talk to somebody that's their job. So I think the canonical pronunciation is that I start saying it and then halfway through I can't remember what all the letters are and then I just give up. So literally every time we talk about it, especially if I'm on the talkback mic and I'm trying to like really quickly be like, hey, we should try and play GA-SFFs at the synonym. We'll do synonym. So that's kind of become the thing because I always, somewhere in the middle of there, GA-NFFs, I can't remember the F's and the S's. So synonym works just fine.
I usually use one pair of sticks for a whole show and then a new pair every day. So however many shows we have is about how many pairs of sticks I go through. That said, I haven't broken any sticks this tour, but I have gotten to a point where I almost break the left stick because that's my snare drum stick for the most part. So it kind of whittles out the middle of it and it's about to break, so just the weight balances off, so I just kind of throw it and get a new one. So at most a pair and a half a show. Well, I practice every day on tour, running through April songs over and over and songs that I'm refreshing that we haven't played in a bit. And I have a warm-up I start about an hour before, and I do paradiddles for 3 minutes at usually like 170, 180 BPM. I do singles for like 16 on both hands, and then single stroke rolls, and then singles to double stroke rolls for 3 minutes. Usually 180 or 190. I do like rudiment warm-ups for 3 minutes per rudiment that I'm working on. And that usually helps with getting my forearms warmed up and getting ready for the show, getting the headspace.
I recommend finding someone to teach you an instrument. My daughter is learning how to play bass from a teacher, but also from me, so she has a lot of people to implement structure. I recommend starting to learn technique the right way before you learn it the wrong way. It's better to learn the rules before you break the rules. I'm still a fan of going to like a cool guitar shop that teaches guitar lessons and finding somebody that will teach you a combination of like the boring, which are the scales, holding a pick correctly, alternate picking, all of that boring stuff that becomes fun, and then like also learning songs that you want to learn, which I think that's what's helping my daughter a lot. She's having fun learning songs she wants to learn, but not having fun learning technique and learning and playing to a metronome. That's good. Play to a metronome. So yeah, I guess that's it. And as far as like an instrument, I don't know. Like, don't spend a lot of money. You don't need an expensive guitar to like be a competent guitar player, to make great sounds. I think there's this misnomer, especially amongst novice musicians, that you need a $1,500+ like Les Paul or Stratocaster to sound really good. I mean, you could pick up Peter Green's Greenie that Kirk Hammett owns, that he paid $500,000 for. You could pick that guitar up and you're not going to sound like Peter Green. You might sound like but it's a $500,000 guitar. There are like other factors that you'll get into, but I think start with like inexpensive guitar that you feel comfortable with, and then learn some proper technique, and then from there you can branch out and earn a fancier instrument. Well, I use no pedals on tour anymore. I do not use a tube amplifier anymore. I used to use a Sun Model T head, and I used to run just an erroneous amount of effects, like pedals, I mean all sorts of stuff. Great stuff. Shout out to like companies like Mr. Black. They make great stuff, and Fuzz Rocious, my buddies. They're all making great pedals, and I believe it's like worth having that stuff. I use a lot of that stuff when I'm recording music, but live I use a Fractal Axe-Fx 3 amp modeler, which has tons of amps paired with cabinets, paired with effects, and I use just a Axe-Fx pedal board essentially. They're just triggers, the different scenes I put together. So the verse of a song may have a couple of effects paired together, then the pre-chorus, completely different effects, etc. I can go through 3 different amp sounds in a song or more, and it's really great, and it's reliable, and it sounds fantastic. Is it a little different than a tube amp and a cabinet pushing air at you? Sure, but it's far more reliable, and it sounds great, and I'm super happy with it. And sorry if you're disappointed. I'm not sorry.
I have always thought that when like I make anything, it's because I really want to make it. Like the music and the bands on the label and the clothes or whatever, it's like stuff that I want to wear and make, and like it's very who I am, or whatever. And so like I think I just got burnt out, and so I just didn't want to make stuff that's just like kind of not really me, or like have somebody else do it. And I just kind of like, I'm like, yeah, just use the name or whatever. And so I had been thinking the past couple of years, like, oh, it'd be fun to make some stuff again, and it'd be fun to like remake some old stuff, but also like make some new stuff. I thought it'd be fun to just kind of update the whole thing. I felt like overwhelmingly, like when I see people and they're like wearing it, I'm like, that's so cool that like it reacted with anybody. Like I always think that it's gonna be like, I'm like, maybe nobody cares about any of it or whatever. And so that for people to care even just a little, or some people to kind of care, like it really means a lot to me. I don't ever want to be the kind of band that like, and we don't, want to be the kind of band that just like rehashes things, but there's always like the thought of like, could you do like a version of the thing you did before, but like one you couldn't have done 10 years ago because you didn't have like the tools or like whatever to do it. And so that seemed like one, again, like it felt authentic and to the moment, and I don't know, I'm glad you missed it because I wanted to do it again.